I've only got one game that I'm going to talk about here in the played section because we are getting into our UKG stuff ASAP.
Yeah.
But I did play this and I really wanted to talk about it because it's currently live on crowdfunding right now. When you hear this episode, it will probably have been live for just over a week. But this is a prototype copy I was sent by the publisher to try. And I don't do reviews of Kickstarter previews or anything like that. I don't do sponsored content of that. I do gameplay, sponsored gameplay. I do sponsored rules videos, and that's it. And typically, I don't you do Kickstarter prototypes at all. I will play them, and so I have said so I promised I would play this and I would talk about it, and I am now fulfilling that role. This is Final Titan. It's a 3 to 5 player game, and it is a argy-bargy, very luck-driven, swingy party-esque game. So this is currently on crowdfunding. It's designed by Richard Garfield, who is the designer of Greedy Greedy Goblins and others, and also Christian Cadal, who designed Mindbug, Agent Avenue, and Heroes for Sale. Christian Cadal is a co-designer on Mindbug and Agent Avenue. So the artists are Xavier Cuenca, who did Fall of the Mountain King, Emmanuel Desiati, who did Mistborn and Alibi, Maximilian Gotthold, who did Mystic Monkeys and Blacksmiths of Steinheimer, Fanny Pastor Burley, who did Agent Avenue and E-Rune, which we did do a sponsored gameplay of on the channel, if you're interested in E-Rune, and Nicholas Valley, who is the graphic designer for Final Titan. And that's the only credit I could find for that. So this is published by NerdLab Games, who did sponsor Barry and I to play Mindbug once, and who did publish Mindbug and also Agent Avenue, both of which I have received review copies of. It's a 3 to 5 player game. It says 30 to 45 minutes on the box, which seems pretty accurate. It will depend on your player count, and there's some slight variation depending on how much you want to yell at each other, I think. That's about it. So obviously, yeah, this is a prototype copy. The copy you can currently back on crowdfunding, I think, has something like 109 heroes. We had 42, which is more than enough for a few games. It's a sort of a party game. It wants you to begin with a recruitment round where you draft a roster of heroes. If you are playing for the first time, you can just be dealt them randomly. So we played twice, first with a random offering, and then again with the full roster. You get 4 heroes, and then you functionally have to do one-on-one duels with each other. And so you'll start with a first player who puts one of their heroes into the... Well, actually, you don't have to, because I guess the game is 2 parts. First is a Titan is put forward, and if you don't, and that is the Titan is the first hero to enter the ring, so to speak. So if everyone's sitting with their roster in front of them at the table, the Titan enters the middle of the table and becomes the sort of reigning champion. This is only the first time. After every subsequent, after the first Titan enters the ring, every challenger that kills the Titan will become the new Titan. So you'll never not have a Titan in the ring. Right? And it's just going to be challengers stepping up to fight that Titan. And all you're doing is picking someone from your roster to go in and be the Titan, or you're giving up a card from your hand to say, no thanks, I don't want to be the Titan, and then play moves around the table. And it can come back to you. But if it does, now there's a bunch of cards that have been sacked off from people's hands all in the middle of the table. And if you become the challenger, taking on the Titan, you get to collect all those cards into your hand. And these upgrade cards in your hand are good. They're very good. You start with 4 if you're the first player, and then you get to draw one every time you win a bout. So every time your Titan wins a fight or your challenger wins the fight, you get to draw 1 upgrade card. But once somebody pits a challenger against the Titan, then each player will have an opportunity to assign some upgrade cards from their hand to the hero, to the fighter. They're not really heroes. They're like a bunch of crazy kooky fighters. There's like a mad doctor and a rotting abomination and the dreadnought from Warhammer 40k and all kinds of random stuff. But you play these upgrade cards face down from your hand, then you reveal them and find out what horrible modifications are going to take place in the fight, and then that's it. Now it's just random luck that determines the outcome. Because now that the fight starts, you get to take an action on your turn. You roll a die. The die triggers some amount of combat damage from your character sheet, your hero sheet. You do that damage, and then play passes back and forth. Each player just taking turns to roll a die until one hero is dead and the other hero survives. And then that's it. The hero that survives does not get any health back, so they don't replenish their health. But you will find in the game there are some heroes that can regenerate health, like a vampire that drinks blood, and an ent that can regrow its limbs, I guess, because it's a tree. But there is some minor nuances. There's lots of power tokens you can give out, like you can poison your enemies so they take damage on their turns. You can get action tokens that let you roll the die more than once. You can get power tokens that increase all the damage you do from the different rolls you've got. There's armor that prevents damage. You've also got bench powers. So some heroes will have a bench power. So long as they're on your bench, they will boost the hero in your other heroes in their fights. So there's a tiny amount of comboing you may be able to do if you can draft a bench power. Also, every hero has an ultimate. And if you roll the charge symbol on the die, then you get to flip a charge token, roll it again, and you get to pull off your ultimate, which can be very consequential and cool. Some characters also have like an ultimate form. So some do an ultimate move, so it triggers like a badass move and then it's done. Others have an ultimate form, and if they pull off the ultimate, they just become something better forever. And I read the rule book for this, and Nerd Lab were like, we're going to send you the prototype. I was like, guys, I don't do that stuff. So, if you've got someone you want to actually pay to cover this, like that'd be better for your campaign. And they're like, yeah, we'll just send it to you. It's fine. And I read the rules and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to give this a try, but it's not really my thing. But I know a lot of people who are into King of Tokyo. And I know people who like Richard Garfield's like sort of lighter party games. So I'll bring it to them and we'll see how we get on with it. And I got to say, I had a lot of fun. This was a really good laugh. Like, I really didn't expect to have as much fun as I did. There is vague King of Tokyo vibes. There's also, if you ever played a game called Challengers, which is like sort of a game that mimics, or it's a facsimile of like a tournament the tournaments, it's like a card tournament, and you swap seats to play everybody at the table. And so you need like 6 or 8 players or something. But the decks autoplay themselves. So really the game is the deck building you do in between the rounds of the tournament. But it had that kind of vibe as well, because the battles functionally auto resolve. Like, you just roll the die and see what happens. And there's a lot of swingy luck in there, and I'll get to that in a minute. But it sort of auto resolves itself. So really the game is in effectively really the matchups that thanks and the upgrade cards you choose to play. And that's about it. Yeah. So anyway, but shorter than Challengers, way shorter than Challengers, and people don't have to stand up and move around the table. It feels less sort of like you're picking on people than King of Tokyo as well. Cause like King of Tokyo, will have like sort of somebody's got a lot of hit points or whatever, and you're sort of waiting for someone to go into the middle. It's been a while since I played it, so I might be misremembering it, but there's sort of 2 things this does that are really, really, really good, that work for it. One is that it creates a lot of really swingy luck, but still makes you feel like the decisions that you take are important. Because you have so few upgrade cards and they can be so consequential, no thanksing something, and I'm using no thanks because it does feel like you're playing no thanks. But on a much smaller scale, because you've only got a handful of upgrade cards. But no thanksing something feels like a really important decision. And so being able to sort of assess whether or not one of your heroes on your bench has a chance against the thing in the middle right now, it feels important enough to give the game a sense of stakes. And then the other thing is the ultimate, right? Because it's a d6 you're rolling. Each hero has 4 stats, and the stats are color coded, but they're functionally really just bad attack, okay attack, good attack, and best attack. And so you're rolling a d6, and 4 of the faces are just triggering one of those attacks. One face is a total whiff, and the other face is the charge symbol. But when you roll the charge symbol for the first time and it charges up your ultimate, so you flip that token, you get to roll again. And that's huge, because what it means is it always feels like on your next turn, you could roll, even when you don't have the charge token lit up, you could roll a 6 twice and pull off your ultimate, right? Like, so you always, and those ultimates are so consequential that it always feels like you've got a chance. And that's just like, you know, and I've said before, I like gambling, not in real life. I actually never gamble with money, but maybe this is why, because I really enjoy it. I really enjoy gambling. I really like swingy luck. But I like it to feel like it has stakes, and I like it to feel like it matters. You know, I don't want to play a game where it's pure luck and it doesn't feel like we have any agency or any control or any, you know, decision space at all. So it doesn't really matter. You know, this feels, it gives you just enough tantalizing stakes and tantalizing decision making, and then the rest you just kind of have to watch with chagrin. And I really thought as well, like with 4 players and 2 people sitting out and not playing, it would be a bummer. But the fights are over so quickly, and you really care about what's going on as well. Like, you get really invested, even in the fights you're not taking part in. Everyone at the table got really into it. I got to say, I think this is like, for like sort of an easy to grasp, like fun gateway game. I think this is going to be a big hit. I really liked it. I want to play it again.
Well, if people do want to play, I think it's on Tabletop Simulator.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there's definitely something about that in the campaign.
I think that I don't think that would be good.
No, like real life's probably better. There's a print and play as well, if people want to go to the trouble of printing some of the champions out.
That would be a better idea. I think that would, you rolling the dice and sort of being able to sit around the table and eyeball the heroes and, you know, make those decisions. Like Tabletop Simulator, it's going to be too slow. Like, it slows the games down, and this is gonna suffer if you play it slowly. This wants to be played fast and punchy and quick decisions, you know. And like I said, we got through 2 games so quickly.
Yeah, print and plays gives you 48 champions, or 40. It gives you about 40 champions.
So that sounds like it's the prototype then.
Yeah.
So that sounds, if the prototype's 42.
Yeah, that looks about right. Yeah, there's a page of 2 at the end, so 42. So people could play the same version you had.
Exactly, and I recommend it. It's really good. Like, it's really fun.
Nice. All right, I'll back it. I'll do it now.
I mean, how much is it to back?
Depends on what version you want. For the full version, so for the full version, €89, sorry, plus VAT. If you want the sleeves, that's another 20 or 30 euros maybe, plus your shipping and stuff. I don't know what shipping is, so it'll probably be about $100.
Well, that's a lot. So this is, to be clear, this is a King of Tokyo level experience. I think it's better than King of Tokyo personally, but I also am not like a massive fan of King of Tokyo. I do like Richard Garfield's lighter fares, hence why I called out Greedy Greedy Goblins earlier, rather than any of the mainstream things he's designed or like things people would know. But yeah, like I think for $100, that's, I would, you know.
Well, standard all in €64.
That seems more reasonable.
But if you don't want any of the expansions, there's a €40 version. Plus whatever VAT and shipping is, so it end up being 50 quid maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
the core game. Yeah.
I've not reviewed the Kickstarter page, so I'm not sure what more there is to offer. What I played was functionally half of the retail core set, or the sort of the basic core set. I don't know how much more you would need. I wouldn't be averse to some extra thing. I was even saying when I was playing with the folks that there is in Oh, come on, brain. Let's go. Come on, brain. There is in Wonderland's War, which is basically Wonderland's War is basically what if El Grande and Quedlinburg had a baby. There is in Wonderland's War a function where if you're not in the fight, you can bid on the outcome. So you play a card face down that refers to a player, and then everyone reveals those cards at the end, and they get a Benny if they got it right, and a penalty if they got it wrong. And having some way to bid on the fights you're not in Final Titan would be awesome. I don't know if they've looked at that, but like if there's an expansion that offered something like that, some little bits for people to do, I'd be into it. If the expansions start adding lots of complex mechanisms, I think one of the reasons this works was just how quick it was, and just the balance of the sort of the swingy luck and the surprising outcomes. You know, it was really, it felt really, really solid. But I again, like, you know, it is a fun party experience. I don't know if I would spend €100 on it. At least not until I played it, and then I'd want to know it works with the group I've got. You know, like if you're going to play it a lot, if you're going to play the 5-player version a lot, a giant roster of heroes is going to do you well, because you're going to see them a lot. You might even start to establish sort of a meta about what's good and what's not. Certainly some of them seemed really bust in our game, and I don't know if they'll obviously balance it, balance slightly. You know, it's not going to ever be balanced, and part of the fun is that some heroes have very obvious strengths and weaknesses, and you're trying to exploit that, so you pick the fights that are going to favor you, right? But also, like, there was one hero which was just like, if I roll my ultimate, you just get to draw another hero for your bench. And it's like, that seems nuts.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe the idea is somebody needs to go in there with a very strong hero that can just defeat that one quickly. But there's a lot of heroes whose ultimates are just like, one of the heroes' ultimates was, if I roll my ultimate, every other player has to discard a hero from their bench. So, like, you know, some of the ultimate... Some of the those are the two like really swingy broken ultimates, and you know they're balanced out by the hero themselves not being very strong.
Yeah.
Most of the ultimates are like, if I roll my ultimate, I do my 2 most powerful attacks. You know. So, and some of the ultimates are, when I roll my ultimate, the other hero that I'm fighting against just dies. But part of the fun as well is that the battles are done so fast. They're really, really quick to resolve, and I think it needs that. If it gets longer and you're sitting for a long time while people just roll a die back and forth, it will lose the momentum of the game, which is currently, I think, pitch perfect. Anyway,
sounds fun. I like chucking dice, so